Hello again, friends. Welcome to the second part of personal financial planning. This is chapter 2, the financial aspects of career planning. And of course, this is very important, but this is a gloss over for us. Please read through chapter 2. There are questions on your project throughout this chapter, and career planning is something we should always be looking at, whether we are in our career or we're just about to start it. Requires planning, obviously. The average person will change their job 5 times over their lifetime, at least. Now, you may work for the same company, but you may have different positions over the time. I certainly entered Tarrant County College 20 years ago, and I've had 4 or 5 different positions throughout my tenure, as well as I've been self-employed. And so, you will change. Always look at increasing our skill set. Now, we look at a job and a career. Many of us have a job, and hopefully you have the career. That means you are committed to a profession for the remainder of your working years. Real quickly, our Tarrant County College campuses each have a career services and career planning department, and you can take the My Plan assessment, and I believe that's offered online easily, or you can always do what's called the Myers-Briggs assessment, and there's always different versions online. But see what our services offers and how you can get that My Plan assessment going. It's good. The Myers-Briggs is a component of this, and again, it's looking at job satisfaction and matches your personality traits against others with the same type of traits and what careers that they have had a very enjoyable career path on. Some of us do very well in our careers, but we didn't like any of it. Maybe it just didn't suit our personality, but we financially did very well. So it's a good way if you at any time in life, but certainly those starting out, give our career services a call. I know their numbers are active, and of course you can go on our website and take that My Plan test. Decision making, again, steps, my friends. Hopefully you're researching the careers that you might like to go into. We want to always develop our cover letter and resume. We should always be working on that as well. Interviewing, again, the financial factors that we would look at in a career. And again, I think probably for some of us who have worked 20 plus years would say, boy, I wish if I could do it over again, I would probably do a couple of things different. So these are the steps, some of the strategies in employment, and we're going through a very rough time here with the pandemic in place, and that's hate to be a doomsdayer. I'm not ever trying to be that way, but it is some of reality. This pandemic is going to stay with us, for quite some time, I believe. And so we have to create a new normal, and certainly in our employment. So what are some strategies that you can do to gain full-time employment with a company you like? You may work part-time. Kind of wish that was taught to me back in those early 90s. Followed my father's experience where you just get a job and you'll work for life, son. You can work in part-time. See if you like the organization as well. Remember, when you interview for an organization, they're interviewing you, and you need to interview them as well. Is this the company that you want to spend the majority of your best years and best times, working for? Contacts. Right now, my friends, you should be developing contacts. How do you do that? Volunteer work. If you don't have a job, there's internships. Please, again, look at our career services. Look at internships out there, and you'll find a lot of internships at Chambers of Commerce. The Northeast Tarrant County Chamber of Commerce always employs some interns from us each semester. They're unpaid, but boy, you make a lot of contacts. So intern, volunteer. I know we may not be on campus, but there's probably still projects out there that can be done for our departments. Again, experience, career skills, all sorts of things. Right now, if you are in your late teens to your, pre-25, I would say, still getting your college degrees, look at gaining experience, and that should be the goal. Don't worry about, is this going to be my full-time job for the rest of my life? Get a variety of different experiences, and we'll keep talking about that. If you're on the very early part of looking for that career. Again, chapter 2 is an excellent chapter to read through, especially the appendix. Got some good tips to write your cover letters, to look at your sources. These are all fine. Again, they really are, but it's going to come down to those contacts. And so, how can we start making contacts? Well, LinkedIn is a great way to do that. If you do not have a LinkedIn account, you should have one by the end of the day. Okay? LinkedIn is your professional networking, and it pretty much is going to be your resume of the future. And we want to make it good. We want to have good connections. We want to have our skills endorsed by others so that companies will come to you and say, this matches your profile. All right? You're always preparing that 30-second elevator pitch. So if we're in the fall semester, usually there's holidays in the fall, like Thanksgiving, and all the family, well, in days gone by, would get together, but they're still calling you. And what are you doing with your life? Well, there's your 30-second elevator pitch. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What kind of organization do you want to work for? Again, the volunteering for committees and professional organization, and getting people to talk about their experiences. If you are on LinkedIn, or once you have your account set up, find me, Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, Saleh, all right? And you'll find me, invite me to link in with you, tell me that I'm from your business course, this at Tarrant County College, and we'll get connections going, all right? And then put down some skills, business planning, things that can get you looked at by other organizations. I think LinkedIn is very powerful. I know many of you are very, very powerful in other social networking. Keep everything clean, my friends. And get that contact in place. As you look for employment search strategies, again, you should always be working on your resume. If you do not have a resume, there's just hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of online templates that you can utilize. And so if you don't have a resume, that would tell me you're probably very young into your career. So you would probably go education first, and then some experiences. If you have tremendous amounts of experience, that's always the first part of your resume. Again, chapter 2 appendix has some great detailed help. Cover letter, we're always writing it. You always control the narrative in life, and it's your story. And that's what your cover letter is going to convey, your story. Then, of course, there's the interviewing processes. And, of course, what's going on in today's world. As you look at your resume, and I have looked at many students, I did this, I hope, I wanted, never ever use those words. I always start off with action verbs, all right? Achieved a 50% growth in sales over the past 2 years, managed a staff of 10 full-time and 5 part-time employees, administered, coordinated, developed, designed, directed, very strong words in your resumes. And so this will help you, this nice little list right in here. But use action. We're grabbing people's attention. We're trying to get noticed. And even on our LinkedIn page, that's what we're going to put on your story. These are the things that you have done. You're always working on a list, I think, of your most significant accomplishment in life. And that's a great interview question. It's one I always use if I'm on an interview committee. And sometimes you can tell the applicants who are not ready for that question, generally all the time, and they have to think about it. So this is important. Again, even a list of what you've accomplished for your last employer. Again, education, training. These are some on this side over here, some of the requirements for the job. that you have. Again, your strengths, that's always going to be a question. What do you want to do 3 to 5 years from now? What are your weaknesses? And again, this is how you've overcome a weakness. Don't elaborate too much on that. What are your strengths? But again, what on that most significant accomplishment, how did you do it? What did it take to do it? What were the constraints? Was there a budget? What did you learn from it? I think you get the picture right there. Very, very valuable. And there's also all sorts of books you can read. All right, the 101 tough interview questions. And I have that book and I've read them, and yeah, they're a little intimidating. But once you figure that out and you can convey what you're to an employer, that's going to be really good for you. I would get real, real comfortable, my friends, with video interviews. That could be Microsoft Teams, it could be Zoom, it could be FaceTime. It's probably going to be Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And again, there's a lot of tips out there on the internet how to do a very good video interview. We have basically, the pandemic that we're in, COVID-19, has propelled us at least 10 years into the future. So think of it now as 2030, maybe even 2035. We have so many people working in different areas, working from home, working from a video, an internet connection, and there's great great benefits and advantages to this, certainly for the organization, because it's very low cost to not have to office somebody and let the, it's like an Uber if you think about it, let the employee pay for all the costs of electricity, travel, et cetera, and we have you working. So these are the interviews that are going on right now. We have just interviewed for a vice president of academic affairs, and they were Microsoft Team video interviews. And be very careful. I've seen these go wrong very quickly. Bad background, there's a cat in the background, dogs barking, little kids are coming in screaming for their screaming. So get comfortable with video interviews. Have a place where there's a good background, where it's non-disturbing, it's nice and quiet, because this may be the only chance going forward that someone's going to get a good idea about you. And I like what she's doing. She's wearing the headphones, and that will help cancel out some noise for you and really help you concentrate, and also probably cancels out a little more of the noise in the background for the interviewers. The financial aspects. All right, this is huge. The decisions we make, where we go to work, the retirement plans, the benefits, they are very impactful to all of our finances. And so, again, it's the research that you do. Okay, when you can go in and talk about the organization and know it very well, that is super impressive. I have been on, I would probably say, 75 different interview committees, and probably 100. It's just at Tarrant County College. And I am surprised at 90% of the applicants have no idea who we are. They've done very little research, and even for vice president positions that I've been on a committee for, down to administrative assistants. And those who knew us very well and did their research, generally speaking, probably 95% of the time, maybe even 100%, got the job, unless it was several of them that did it. But most of the time, those who didn't, I can tell you, did not get a second interview. So research the company, okay? And even before you accept, make sure on your end, look at the culture, look at the policies, the procedures, what else are they offering? Do they offer a good retirement plan? Is it a stable company? Is that, if that's what you're wanting? Do they help pay for your education? All right. Is it a startup company? Is it going to be fun to work for if you want to have fun? Is it going to be stable? Those are the aspects that you really want to research versus say, hey, and I know what time we're in. If I'm without a job and someone offers me, I pretty much take it. And things are changing. But if you do have multiple offers, which I hope you do, make sure things align with your own personality, and of course, are there areas for growth for yourself and a compensation package that's not always just money. So, employee benefits. Some, again, these aspects of employment for our financial future. Non-salary base, maybe if you have small children and the company will have childcare on their own campus, or they give you an allowance. That's awfully nice. Leave of absences for elder care as well. Again, for those of us who are taking care of older parents and loved ones, that's something that's very nice to look at. When you usually start, you get something called a cafeteria benefits from your human resources department, and that is basically you can kind of put on the plate what you want. You don't have to have everything, but if you choose the steak dinner versus macaroni and cheese dinner, you're probably going to pay a little bit more, but you get some better benefits if you get my what I'm saying in there, car allowance. If you are in a sales position and they offer you a car, let's say this, if you're in an outside sales position and they do not offer a car or a car allowance, I think you ought to keep looking for a different organization, because outside sales, especially in the B2B, business to business world, you are traveling 90% of your time, more than likely. Depends, but more than likely. So a car allowance or a company car, that can add, think of another $15,000 to $17,000 to your salary with that. 401k matching. We're going to talk about that throughout this course, more towards the end of our retirement planning. But that's a great question. Will they match 100% of your match to a certain amount of dollars, like $5,000 or $10,000? Because again, that's helping you save money for the future. If they don't match at all, that means all of your retirement is totally up to you, and that makes it harder. It does. Flexible spending, medical accounts, again, the value of the market value and future value. Again, if this is a company of positions that you believe you can grow with. And again, if you are right out of the gates in your first college job, some of this is great to have, but you're also trying to gain experience and a lot of different experiences so you can make your next play, let's say, 5 to 7 years into your career. So all of this, this is what makes it complicated, goes into the equation. Our long-term development right now, we got out of school. Congratulations, you graduated. Hey, if I would have just stopped in 1990, I had to go back and get a master's degree and then a project management and then more work, because I knew I wanted to do something different, more education, excuse me. So we're always learning, my friends. Fulfilling work life, communication, probably the number one skill in the workplace that advisory committees tell us. Those are organizations that help run our business degrees, and they're on our board of directors, so to speak. And we ask them how our graduates doing. They say, hard skills, they're good. These young millennials and Z generation are really, really technically competent. I wish we could get them to communicate better. Wish they could write better. Wish they could email better. I wish we could get this, because we need to do it on a consistent basis, because they're communicating with customers. So your communication is so important. Okay. Flexibility, open to new ideas, all of us in the workplace. And it's easy. Sometimes we become victims of our own successes. Well, I do this so well in this way of thinking, that may not work. We tend to do that. So being open, good work habits. Again, as I say, I think we have propelled ourselves 10 years into the future. COVID propelled it for us, which means we're working autonomously and in groups, but we're working from home. Our tech skills have to be just amazing right now, okay? Our work habits have to be very, very well, because you can understand a lot of supervisors are going crazy not being able to micromanage their employees. They have to trust them. And how do you do that? Well, you complete your projects on time. All right, that's great work habit. You follow the directions. Oh my gosh. This right here, and I can see this just on the projects from all my classes. Friends, I'm going to say, as an experienced employee, from someone who's owned their own business, managed a small business, and been in this higher education for 20 plus years, probably 85% of your job, if we would follow the directions set forth, we'd probably keep our job and do pretty well. You know, certainly on our assignments, follow the directions set forth. That's just the way it goes. Goal setting, we've just talked about earlier. Time management, anticipating problems. Think of yourself as an entrepreneur, and the entrepreneurs, they see problems as opportunities, and they see the problem before someone says, hey, Randy, there's a problem over there. Well, I saw that, and this is how I'm going to solve it. Solving those problems, my friends. Creativity, a willingness, and emotional intelligence. If we were to wrap every bit of this up with one phrase, emotional intelligence, how I relate to people, how I relate to my coworkers, my boss, you will find, I think, that those who keep their jobs and those who have very long and enjoyable careers have a very high level of emotional intelligence. Yeah, someone's going to say stuff you don't like. Do I automatically just rip them across the table in a meeting? That's not going to gain a lot of respect from me. So sad. Sometimes it is biting that tongue, but the stronger the more better we can increase our emotional intelligence. And there's lots of books and writings out there. And again, it's that good old time honored work hard and get along with people. And again, have some of that initiative, get those goals set out there, and you'd have a very good career. As our development goes on, again, new technology, cultures, and the global economy, we've got to understand who the other person is that we're talking to. All right, who's our customer, who's our coworker, who are our stakeholders, how the global economy works, what changes are we going to see in the global economy as we go through this pandemic. Can the entire supply chain still rest in China? I think you're going to see changes there. Where is it going to be more equitable to where we don't have to rely just on one area of the world right now? New technology, again, where we're living, please get your tech skills up. That is the second thing that we have. Good communication and good technology that our advisory committee members tell us. That is the hard skill, but what we're doing now, and unfortunately, I think those who have a hard time adapting to technology, certainly proficiency with internet and basic computers. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to code in Python to do digital analytics, although that would be great if you could, but you don't have to. You got to be able to work and embrace this versus what do I do now? What do I do now? That's not what organizations really want to see. So get your tech skills up, your communication skills. Again, how can you always expand your knowledge? Any type of professional development, any type of certifications, it just makes you more mobile and more desirable as an employee. And again, that's some of the formal methods, discussions with colleagues, meetings from other companies. Learn as much as you possibly can in your career development. I'm sure those of us who are working right now, and really enjoying that career, say I learn something new every single day, which is what I love about being in education, because I learn more from students than I will ever learn every single day. I learn tremendously from you. All right, you are in your career now. You've got some good experiences. You're very good at gotten through the interviews, and maybe it's the first job right here. Let's see that. Can you find a mentor? That would be fantastic. Now, mentors do not show up at your office or your cubicle or online one day and say, hey, Randy, you know what? I've been here 15 years. I know the company very well. I know this industry extraordinarily well. I think I want to mentor you. If that happens, then you caught lightning in a bottle. You will need to go out and find that person, and you don't go up there and say, "Hey, be my mentor." You develop the relationship, and when you can find that someone who serves as a teacher, counselor for a less experienced person, it really helps. It will help you so much, and hopefully, the tables, no, definitely, they will turn, and you will be a mentor to those who need it. Again, they're receptive, they help others, technically social areas in their career. They pretty much keep you from making a lot of mistakes because you can learn from their mistakes. So if you can find a mentor, that is really going to put you in a good position. It's going to gain so much experience for you than you would have to learn after many years. Again, there's all sorts of economic conditions, the values, the goals that change in your career, but you should probably have, by this time in life, you probably have your ethics, in your late teens, your 20s, and going forward. So make sure that the company has an alignment with your ethical, social responsibility and theirs as well. Stages of our development. Again, this is some great stuff, and we have the appendices in the back of the book in career development, as well as in back of chapter 2. Again, it's a tough time, my friends. It's a tough time right now. So these are the stages. This is kind of for some of you may be in pre-entry. Some of us may be, I'm just right before retirement. For those of us in here, all right, you are, just think of yourself as a giant sponge, and you are trying to soak up as much experience and different ideas as you possibly can. Okay? And then, I like to say this is maybe it's still internships. Maybe you graduate and it's an unpaid internship. Well, that's the experience. And again, that can take you into a whole different level. And I'm just saying that because I wish someone would have told me about that in many years ago. I thought I had to go right out and get that full-time job and work 45 years just like my father. And I probably kept my eyes closed to other opportunities. As you go into your career, all right, we're gaining more experience. We're developing different contacts. And again, so this is probably, somewhere in our 20s. Now we're in our mid-30s possibly. We're in our 40s and 50s in this area, maintaining hopefully satisfaction. And, retirement's going to come at different stages for different, probably generations. And I would say for Gen X and millennial group, and then down to the Zs, it's going to be a lot. We're going to work a lot longer. So keep yourself healthy is a good pit, because my father was able to retire between 60 and 62 years old, and that was the worst mistake he ever made, because he loved to work and he retired too early, and then bad things happened to his health because he didn't do anything. So I think for many of us that are Gen Xers and millennials and then the Z, we're looking at 70s, easy, maybe even 75. Hey, we like working with better health care and can't afford to retire any younger either. So what else can you do? Now, don't just say, hey, I always wanted to start a business. What about a side business? Now, I teach this in my BUSI 1301 class that I'll always try to promote to you. You know, business is a lot of risk, but if you did a side business and you have a career, you have a secondary source of income, think about that, and there's so many avenues. I like this stat. I ran across this just several months ago. 75% of millionaires start a second income source in their 20s. That's how they became millionaires. Okay? We can just take out that. They became financially stable. So what can you do any point of your life, but certainly if you're in this stage right in here, think of that. There's so many online business opportunities. I was listening to Mark Cuban. His thinking of the COVID virus, and said there are so many young people out there that are going to create giant businesses however they want. A great side business, a great full-time business, or become very, very wealthy into a big business, because they're going to see the problems that COVID-19, what it caused, and how we solved them. Service businesses are something that you can start very easily. I had a landscape business for many years, and it's interesting that the landscape businesses are an essential business, and in the neighborhood I live in, and the one that my mother's house is in, those never missed a beat of income coming in. Because they were always operating in this pretty healthy environment when you're working outside. So what could you do, my friends, to start a side business in your career? Think about that. With Amazon, with eBay, with so many different platforms already in place. Etsy, I mean, you know more than I do. What could you do to drop ship from Alibaba right to people's home? And again, if it's cleaning supplies right now, that's a big seller, or food items. Think about that. In your career, about 10 million career moves each year by the working, by those of us in professional jobs. This can be, you know, when you really think about this, when you do, and especially when you have a job. All right, you want to assess the financial, personal costs and benefits of changing career. Now, I'm a pretty conservative person, so you may be the type of person who says, you know what, I have no fear whatsoever. I'll work here for a few years, and I'll go somewhere else. And you have my admiration. And just make sure you're doing it at the right time. It serves your needs and goals. Okay, this is something that you probably don't want to do. Hey, I quit. Now, it would be great if I opened up my own business. Fantastic. But as you look at opportunities, and again, this is just some career advice as you're managing it through. Never, ever, 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 ever leave a job before you accept a new position. Now, there's many reasons why. A, you don't have an income in between. B, C, D. I've heard them all, and I agree with every one. But this is the biggest one right here. You are worth more to another organization if you are currently employed than if you're not. Again, we may not have the option, but if we do, we just don't say, you know what, I don't like you anymore, boss. I'm going to sing an old Johnny Paycheck song that's called Take This Job and Shove It. I ain't working here no more. Let's say you are working, Randy, I'll take myself. I am working for an organization. I'm making $95,000 a year. Okay? And you are a competitor, and you've seen my sales, you've seen my work ethic, you have a lot of contacts at other organizations. You say, man, I wish we could get old Randy over here. But $95,000 is what he makes, so I cannot offer Randy 95, which opens up a good question right in here. What does it take to move to another organization while you're currently employed, especially if you like the job? So I would say they'll have to pay Randy at least 20% more. So let's say it's 120. We got to offer Randy 120 grand plus his benefits he's making right now. If he has a car, his retirement match, to get him over here. But we do like him, and he's done very well, and I think he'd be a good fit. That's what they have to offer me. Now, you're the hiring manager, and you found out that Randy got mad one day and quit. And more than this, it wasn't just yesterday. It was like 2 months ago. Randy's on the open market. Do you need to offer me $120,000 plus full benefits and everything I was making? You would be very nice if you did, and I would thank you. But more than likely, I was making 95, and you may say, hey, we just need to offer Randy 95. Oh, he hasn't had an interview in 2 months? Well, maybe we offer him 85. Maybe he's hit a point to where he's going to take anything right now. You see what I'm saying? You are always worth more to another, or you can negotiate much better. If you have a job, say, hey, I really don't need you. Okay, I need you very badly. Please hire me. So, again, this is if I take the advantage. And I see it all the time. So don't let your emotions, there's your emotional intelligence, get the best of you. And you're managing your career. Make sure you have the other job in place, is guaranteed as much as it possibly can. And then you say to your employer, hey, by the way, I've got another offer. And who knows? Maybe your employer doesn't want you to go. And they're going to match that offer, maybe even best it. That would be great. Don't quit unless you have the other job. We all go through dry spells. I've certainly gone through them. Very early in my career. What happens if we do get terminated? And we're seeing that right now. Again, people can't go back to work depending on what work they did. But we know in the service industry, it's just taking a beating, especially food service. And this too will pass away. Okay, the old ancient proverb from the East, an Eastern Oriental king wanted on his epitaph something that would last for the ages, and his wisest men came up, and this too shall pass away. It will pass. You don't think it will, because you can go several months without a job, and keep keep yourself healthy, as exercising, sleep, eating, because do not, my friends, do not fall into the abyss, which is very easy to do. Involve yourself. This could be a great time to volunteer, okay? Improve maybe some classes. I would always say that. And I've read many articles that you can say, you know what, I went back and I got some different skills, and I wanted a career change. Interviewers understand that. If I'm telling them I don't know, I just lost my job and I couldn't do anything, that's a tough sell. That's an impossible sell, really. So if it goes a little bit further, get some classes. What type of volunteer? And again, just because we are online, there's a lot of volunteer work. That could just be making phone calls for people. Right now, people volunteer. Nonprofit organizations need lots of people to help them reach out to their stakeholders for different reasons. And so, interesting things. Target your search for high growth industries. Consider opportunities with nonprofit. Again, always target your skills to the need of an organization. Don't give up hope. Use your network very, very carefully, and we don't have to be too proud to say, "Hey, I need some help," and see what other people can do to network and get you an interview. And it does take time. It does take time, but be prepared for those spells, which is why our personal finances are so important. Because if we have a good emergency fund built up that we talked about in Unit 1, we're going to keep diving into that, of $7,000 to $10,000, or at least 30% of our expenses throughout the month, for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. Then we can go. We can go and do some good things and good hard searches, and not feel the tremendous amount of pressure when things don't go well for us. This was a quick wrap up, a quick chapter. I do hope you will read through chapter 2. You have some questions there. I do hope that you will always think of this as a journey, and it goes fast. It does go fast. Keep your network up. I hope to see some of you on my LinkedIn. I hope to get invitations from you so I can help build your network. Keep your chin up through all of this, and think about that side business as an extra source of income, because that may lead to a full-time business, and that could be your next job, just working for yourself. And wouldn't that be great? Hope you enjoyed chapter 2.